So I think it's really easy to focus on career, company, whatever it is that you're building, put all your energy into that and always think in your head, yeah, I'm going to get to the dating. I'm going to, join this. I'm going to sign up with this, whatever. I'm going to meet people. People are always going to be there, which is very true. People are always going to be there. But I think you need to place importance on it just as much as you would your career, or nothing is going to happen in your personal life.
Sometimes when we present a match to someone, we'll say, okay, his name is John, he's blah, 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 blah. And everyone always goes, well, why is he single? And it's like, you want to turn around and be like, well, why are you single?
Totally. Well, I think it's because people look at it like I shouldn't have to pay for dates, right? Like, I don't want to have to pay for these dates. I'm dateable. Why do I have to do that? But it's not about that. It's about, if you're not going to do it for yourself, hire someone who's going to do it for you so you can start making some movement.
Welcome to Date Like a Matchmaker, the podcast where love meets strategy and connections are made with a little bit of help from us. We're your hosts, Tiffany and Jory. Each week, we bring you fascinating stories from matchmakers, relationship experts, and couples who found love with a little bit of help. Whether you're single, in a relationship, or just curious about how matchmaking really works, this podcast is for you. We'll uncover the behind the scenes of the matchmaking process and share tips that could just change the way that you approach love. On today's episode, we are going to talk about the common phrase that a lot of singles hear all the time about, if you're a catch, then why are you still single? And I think a lot of people think that being single is a negative thing, when actually, in reality, being single is just a choice.
I don't know. Do people think being single? I think maybe like 15 years ago or 20 years ago, people thought being single was a negative thing, but I don't feel like it has such a stigma behind it anymore.
I think you'd be surprised. On my Talk About It Tuesdays this last week, a girl said, she said something along the lines of, I'll read it to you. How to not, oh, how can you explain a long gap in relationships besides just telling people that you were working on yourself and waiting on the one?
First of all, I think that's such a weird thing to say. Like, if someone was like, "Why are you single?" and you tell them you were working on yourself, I don't know. There's so many reasons why people are single. Like, it could just be that they just weren't inspired. Maybe they needed a little break because they were in a relationship for 7 years and they just didn't, like, they just kind of wanted to do their own thing for a little bit. Could be that maybe someone was building a business or focusing on their career. So I think the real issue is, why do you ask someone why they're still single?
I agree with that it is an odd question to ask, because I think someone would rather be happy and be single than be in a relationship just for the sake of being in a relationship. And I do firmly believe that being single is a choice, because it's not that a lot of people don't have anyone that wants to date them. A lot of people are just not, and I don't want to use the word settling, but they're not in relationships just for the sake of being in relationships.
I agree with that somewhat for the most part. But I do think there are probably a chunk of people that are not in a relationship is because they have really terrible dating patterns and
Mm.
they're like not emotionally sound.
Yeah.
And they've got
Issues.
crazy attachment issues.
Yeah.
And so I think for those people, that's probably why they're not in a relationship, but you shouldn't ask them. That will become apparent in time. Everything becomes apparent in time.
I also think that there's a large portion of people that have been so focused on their career and their education that they've almost neglected their love life a little bit. They know what's healthy, they know what's unhealthy, but that's why they're single now. And so they're finally at a point where they want to focus on their relationship and their love life. Um, I also think a lot of people say that they can't do it, or they can do it without the help of anyone. And then they quickly find out that maybe that's not the case.
Well, I think the important thing to the important thing with that is you have to do your personal life, right? So I think it's really easy to focus on career, company, whatever it is that you're building, put all your energy into that and always think in your head, yeah, I'm going to get to the dating. I'm going to, join this. I'm going to sign up with this, whatever. I'm going to meet people. People are always going to be there, which is very true. People are always going to be there. but I think you need to place importance on it just as much as you would your career, or nothing is going to happen in your personal life. And I think it's easy to put that on the back burner for
Yeah.
people, but I think what we've seen is people put on the back burner for too long because it takes a lot of work. It's like a literal second job, which everyone says, we've heard that thousands of times, and you just don't do it because it's so time consuming. So I think at that point, that's when you need to outsource it. You have to do something about it. You have to take action if you're not going to.
Right. People, I think, almost wake up and it's like an oh shit moment for them. They're like, wow, I always thought, well, once I have my MD, then I'll have time to focus on my personal life. And then they become a physician and they start working and they get so wrapped up in the hustle and bustle of every day of work, 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 grind, 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 that they're like, okay, well, when my career gets settled, then I'll start focusing on my personal life. And then they wake up and all of a sudden they're, 38, 39, 40, and they're like, I haven't done anything for
Mm.
myself at all. And so it's like at one point you have to realize that the things that are most important to us in our lives, family, friendships, relationships, career, like take not only time and energy, like they just use resources in general, time, energy, and a lot of the time finances too. Like you invest so much in so many other parts of your life. It's so interesting to me that people, like, especially the most successful people that outsource so much in their life, they have a hard time truly spending money on themselves and their personal life. Like it's so strange to me. You
Yeah, you mean
outsource
spending
everything.
money on their dating life,
Yeah.
like hiring a matchmaker or doing something like that?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's because people look at it like I shouldn't have to pay for dates, right? Like, I don't want to have to pay for these dates. I'm dateable. Why do I have to do that? But it's not about that. It's about if you're not going to do it for yourself, hire someone who's going to do it for you so you can start making some movement.
Right. It's like you can have your world and live in your world and go to work and be busy, busy, busy and do everything that you need to do, have your friends and your family. And then I will sprinkle in amazing dates and amazing people and just add bonuses to your life.
Exactly.
Then you have something on the calendar to look forward to that you didn't have to do any work to find. And you just show up and voila, you have a great time. And then you call me and
Yeah.
thank me.
Yeah. It takes all the work out of it. And then you're like moving the needle on your personal life.
Yep. And it can be an equal priority just without all of the legwork.
Exactly.
You know what the good part about this though is that it's good to know that because I hear this from both men and women. Sometimes when we present a match to someone, we'll say, okay, his name is John, he's blah, 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 blah. And everyone always goes, well, why is he single? And it's like, you want to turn around and be like, well, why are you single? So
Totally.
it definitely like it goes both ways. And we hear it from both parties. Men and women
Yeah.
always like questioning the same thing. And they're always so nosy about the same thing.
hmm
It totally goes both ways.
So everyone always wonders why, like, you're a catch, why are you single? Because depending on the person, the people that are like true universal catches, we'll call them, they have a much lower threshold of what they can tolerate when it comes to the it.
I agreed to this. Okay, so I will say I don't know whether or not I firmly believe in icks. Do you think you can come back from an ick? If you get the ick, is it an ick
I
forever or is
no,
it
I think
an ick in the moment?
I think you can come back from an ick if you are someone who you can kind of, I think if you're someone who can really understand dating and understand like why icks occur and stuff like that, I think it can be overcame. I don't think the average person can come back from an ick if it's like a really strong one. Because I think icks are all having to do with just what is familiar to you, right? So if I come from a family where, we were raised in a certain way, manners were so important. You don't put elbows on the table when you're at
Yeah.
dinner. And I go on a date with a perfectly nice guy, wonderful in every way. His manners like just aren't what I'm familiar with. He puts his elbows on the table. He uses the wrong silverware. That's going to give me the ick because it's unfamiliar.
Right. And you were raised that it was like a little bit sloppy almost.
Exactly. So you have
Like,
that in your mind.
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
When I was little, when growing up, if we put our elbows on the table, and listen, we're not some fancy schmancy family at all. We're just the average Joe. But when we would put our elbows on the table, my dad would go, and we'd be like, ooh, ooh, we had to have to straighten up. And I think it takes a lot for me to get the ick. I mean, it hints I'm married. So, there's a lot of icks, I think, in marriage. Sometimes you're like, ooh, don't do that again. Um, but the funniest ick came to my attention the other day, and not in my own marriage, but someone said on my polls, they said, is it a deal breaker if I can't swim? And for the last few days, all I can picture in my mind is like floating in the pool, cocktail in hand with my floaty, and then my significant other hopping in the pool, but not being able to stay afloat.
That's so funny because I cannot swim.
You can't swim?
No,
You live on the
I did,
water.
I know, I don't like go swim in the ocean. I did swimming classes growing up, but it just never took.
Jory, it
Yeah, I
is.
know. One day. It doesn't matter. I'm not like, again, I'm not going swimming in the ocean. I'm not going to the public Y. I'm not going to go swim race someone. It doesn't really matter if I can
I
swim or not.
cannot believe you can't swim. So
I
if I,
can stay afloat. I can doggy paddle. I can
okay,
float. I'm not going to drown, but I
okay.
can't like swim like that. Um, what's the worst ick you've ever gotten
I don't know that I can think of one right now.
before you were married? Come on, you can't think
Before
of
I was
one ick.
married,
I went through my 20s just getting nothing but icks from people.
I went through my 20s like almost almost always dating someone, but never quite exclusively.
Mm,
I just dated a whole bunch of people.
yeah. I think when you're young and immature, you get more icks because you just don't have enough like human
Life
experience
experience. Yeah.
process. Yeah.
hmm I'm trying to think of a good ick that I ever got. I mean, yeah, no. I dated one guy in college and he had the worst breath.
Mm,
That is gross.
mm.
But outside of that, I don't know if there was anything anyone ever did, like just like a mannerism or they tripped and fell or like something that I was like, ugh.
Mm, hmm.
What's the worst
Okay.
ick you ever got?
I have two.
Okay.
One was after like a couple weeks of dating someone, he would openly toot in front of me. And that was repulsive and extremely offensive. Like I would get angry on the inside because it just felt so disrespectful.
Oh
When
my
you're dating
goodness.
someone for only a few weeks, it's very disrespectful. And then the other thing is using the word instead of where you should place saw, like I saw a dog running down the road.
I seen it.
I seen this dog run and I was like, I can't, just can't do it. Like I can come back from stuff, but I can't come back from that.
I'll say grammar is something that drives me insane. Like even texting with a client or messaging with people, followers on Instagram, or, I don't have to worry about it with Blake. He has good grammar, but like spelling and grammar drive me insane. If you can't differentiate there, and there, that's a problem.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I feel like most people can though, but maybe not.
Maybe not. I see it used incorrectly all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, it's red, underlined red. Click it. It will change it to the appropriate there.
I think I hear from clients a lot too that have like done the whole online dating thing is texting or messaging in like broken grammar or with no grammar or like instead of spelling out YOU, they put you or like lowercase I
Yeah. Yeah.
or they abbreviate things like WYD.
Yeah. What are you doing? W.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that that gives people the ick too. Gives
Yeah,
women the ick.
I agree. I agree.
I
There's
wonder
all,
what some icks are that men have. We should get a man to tell us.
I'll pull it. I'll
Yeah.
hello
Yeah.
men. I'll ask them right now. Let's do it.
That would be an interesting thing to see. Thank you for listening. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on our social media. You can find us on Instagram at Executive Connections Dating. You can also find our podcast Instagram at Date Like a Matchmaker. There's a link in our bio to fill out a free profile and be considered as a match for one of our clients.
See you next time.